Season's greetings from Ogtv family to yours. Here is the news as brought to you by Iyabo Awujuola. First, the highlights. National Assembly transmits 2022 budget to President Buhari. Federal government set to deploy fighter jets against bandits. FEMA seeks review of Fire Service Act. Russia's Supreme Court closes oldest human rights group in the country. Year's end is neither an end nor a beginning, but a going on.
And on business tonight, investment in free child care to generate 17 million jobs in Nigeria. These and many more to come on the business segment of the news. I am Seniat Abaru.
Coming up on the world of sport, Al-Ahly to face Mamelodi Sundowns in CAF Champions League group. Join me for more details on this and many more stories. I am Emmanuel Dasaulu. Stay with us.
And now to the main news. The National Assembly has transmitted the 2022 appropriation bill to President Muhammadu Buhari for assent. The House of Representatives and the Senate passed the federal government's budget last week, raising the total estimates from the proposed 16.391 trillion naira to 17.126 trillion naira. The oil benchmark was raised from the proposed $57 per barrel to $62. A communique from the clerk to the National Assembly, Ujo Amos, showed that the budget was transmitted on Friday and received by the Office of the Chief of Staff to the President on Saturday. The National Assembly had from the 2022 budget returned the country to a December budget cycle. The President is expected to assent to the money bill by Saturday. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari will sign the 2022 appropriation bill on Friday. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, confirmed this on Tuesday in Abuja. According to him, the 2022 budget has been transmitted by the National Assembly and the President will sign the bill into law by 10 in the morning. Broadcast journalists have been charged to practice their profession with fairness and objectivity in order to build the trust of their viewers. This charge was made by Professor Dele Odunlami at a training workshop organized by the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Ogun State Television Chapel. Ronke Adeyemi reports.
The best workshops have a specific action-oriented purpose and aims to generate some concrete answers to current problems in the field. Workshops provide opportunities to learn new skills and familiarize with things that are unknown. In creating an atmosphere like this, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Ogun State Television Chapel, organized a workshop for the staffs of the station, representing the Acting General Manager, Ogtv, the Director of Administration and Supplies, Mr. Dipo Ogufora, enjoined everyone to see this platform as one to improve the station's program and presentation.
Since the beginning of the year, I know the NUJ, the News Directorate and management, we've been looking at how best we can keep improving ourselves.
The guest speaker, Professor Dele Odunlami, urged everyone to engage in aggressive research and study to be relevant on the job, and also lectured on the use of language in narration and presentation.
The fact remains that a lot of people are taking our work from us, particularly in the social media. With the further liberalization and deregulation of the broadcast industry, with licenses given to some supposedly community stations now, should really wake up and get our job back from the quacks that are messing it up. So and when we now watch our news, watch our programs, and we see some of these things, we cannot but have fora like this. And that's why I'm going to commend the initiative of the President ESCO of the state, of the chapel.
In their goodwill messages, the manager, News on Current Affairs (OGTV), and the chairman NUJ OGTV Chapel advocated that the interactive session should be seen as an opportunity to build capacity.
It's going to be a one-off. We're going to continually engage him, because we want to strive to be the best. I'm quite happy with the fact that we have a management team that has been very, very inspirational. They've been driving us, and that's why we've been able to actually achieve this.
I would like to thank my ESCO members too for agreeing with me that we need to keep ourselves abreast of happenings in the world, even in our profession. We need to upgrade ourselves.
An award of excellence as an ambassador of the OGTV newsroom, the first of its kind, was then presented to the guest speaker, after which there was a minute silence for Mr. Biodun Odetoyinbo, former Deputy General Manager of the station, who coincidentally passed on a year ago. Adirunke Adeyemi, OGTV News.
Bauchi and Ebonyi State have recorded new deaths from Lassa fever as the nation's toll from the disease since the beginning of 2021 rises to 92. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disclosed this in its latest situation report on the outbreak of the disease in the country. Data from the report for week 50, which covered December 13 to 19, revealed that 3 more deaths were reported in the week under review. While Bauchi reported 2 new fatalities, Ebonyi recorded a new death from the disease. According to the NCDC, a total of 190 new cases were suspected in 11 states and the Federal Capital Territory, but just 10 cases were confirmed in 4 states. The traditional institution is an integral part of the Nigerian society. It plays significant roles as custodian of culture and norms and values, even as it supports government in maintaining peace and order. These are the reasons put forward by those who spoke with our reporter Tunde Olaniro on why the roles of traditional rulers should be reinstated in the Nigerian constitution. His reports.
Traditional rulers in Nigeria often derive titles from the rulers of independent states or communities that existed before the formation of modern Nigeria. Traditional rulers do not have the constitutional or legal backing to perform effectively, as they are not even mentioned in the 1999 Constitution. This, according to these Nigerians, is a great departure from all earlier constitutions that recognized them and even gave them some functions to perform.
Yes, even during the colonial rules, our traditional ruler has a role they play. Formerly Oni of Ife, Adesoja Aderemi, they had a role to play in governance of this nation. I believe they are so close to the grassroots, and if they can get them into a constitution, we're talking about grassroots politicians, and we're not seeing it manifesting. But the traditional ruler, being there from the grassroots, they know the people's need. Even armed robbers, they know those who are robbing. They know those who are good. I believe to reach deep down, traditional need to be involved.
If the traditional rulers are in position and given authority, they will do better and they will do well.
He observed that no community or nation will thrive without due consideration of its historic evolution, customs, values, and beliefs. Hence the call for roles of traditional rulers to be entrenched in the constitution.
That's the best thing to do, because we are the closest people to our people. You are very close to our own people. If anything happens, even in the olden days, if anything happens, they will run to Kabisi's house. They will run to the palace. It's the best.
Well, they have to be entrenched because they are very close to their people. They are the real grassroots to their people. So definitely I feel it is very, very good that they will be able to take good care of the grassroots, and they'll be able to tell the government what the grassroots really needs. And also, they will be able to control the people they know. And whenever there is any stranger, they'll be able to say, oh, this is a stranger, this is not part of my community. So it is very good to carry them along.
Entrenching the roles of traditional rulers in the constitution, according to them, will lead to progress, decent lives, flourishing tradition and culture, and above all, safety of lives and property. Tunde Olanio, OGTV News.
Parents have been called upon to rise to the task of being actively involved in the educational and moral upbringing of the words, as synergy and collaboration among stakeholders can quench the raging heat of lawlessness now being recorded among the youths in the society. The call was made by concerned Nigerians who spoke with Ogtv News on the role of parents during the holiday period. Margaret Okunlola has the details.
Although a parent's role in their children's learning evolves as they grow, one thing remains constant, which is parents are role models to their children, as they are the first teachers. Little wonder, the popular adage says charity begins at home. Parental encouragement and active involvement in the success of children are very crucial to character molding. According to respondents, a child's learning scale and attitude are functions of how they are treated at home.
A situation whereby lawlessness in the school will be the order of the day for the children is not acceptable to the society. The school is meant to impart knowledge and societal norm on these children. Likewise, the parents too.
Evangelist Olalekan Ifede is the chairman of the Ogun State Teaching Service Commission. He laments high rates of lawlessness owing to faults from home.
Students are beating teachers and parents are encouraging the students or even hiring us to go and beat teachers. It is widely unacceptable.
Dr. Womilojo Ayodele is the Ogun State President, All Nigeria Confederation of Principals of Secondary Schools. She assured that all hands were on deck to ensure close synergy exists among teachers and parents.
All principals in the state, we have established what we call the Parent Club in our schools. The Parent Club is quite different from the PTA. The Parent Club is peculiar to each school in Ogun State, because in each school, in each environment, there are peculiarities. And because of these peculiarities of the challenges that the schools are having, that is why we decided that, okay, establish a parent club, have a direct interaction with the parents.
Respondents called on parents to lend helping hands in the educational and moral upbringing of their wards.
I want to appeal to the parents to be more conscious of their responsibility. These children need to be counseled regarding the purpose of going to school. They should teach the students the way of Lord, the way to behave, the way to conduct themselves in the public, because they are the owner of these children. They should not surrender their roles to the teachers who are already fresh in the school.
What we teachers are agitating for now is that the parents should at least tighten their efforts on their children, because majority of the students are now, they are behaving in a way we don't understand, and it is, we say charity begins at home. It's been coming from home. If the parents can tighten their hands in the way they treat, the way they train the children, it will give we teachers, a relaxed avenue or environment to teach them as well.
Encourage them perhaps to utilize their time positively on the internet.
Respondents further advocated close synergy and collaboration among stakeholders so as to ensure the attainment of securing the future for the next generation. Margaret Okunlola, Ogtv News.
Still ahead, federal government set to deploy fighter jets against bandits. We will bring you the details after this timeout. Stay with us. Glad to have you with us again. On our news tonight, we again bring to the front burner the issues of environmental cleanliness, especially with the Ogun State government concerning demolition of illegal shanties on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We will bring in our guests to discuss this after this timeout.
After several warnings with notices from government to people, we erected shanties along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and of Ogun State. Time was up for them. The government said it could not fold its arms to watch this side of the road taken over by debts. Beginning from Kara to the Shagamu interchange and to Abeokuta, it is now an offense for anyone to erect shanties by the roadside. Despite the day being a public holiday, the State Ministry of Environment still went out to carry out the enforcement. Owners of the shanties were caught unawares, even with government's several notices. Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Environment, Farouk Akitunde, led the enforcement exercise.
We have given them notice of evacuation to leave all these places. You know, this place is very strategic. This is the gateway state in Nigeria. And if you have all this kind of a thing within here, it speaks more about the people and the government. And that is why we have decided that we have to clear all these places off. They have all the opportunity to move back, to move into a market. This is all about trading. This is all about businesses and trading. And there are specialized places for those activities.
In the course of discharging these enforcement activities, you could see a lot of things that we met on field. And these are the pests that you see harboring within human habitations. And you see a lot of them we feed on leftover meals, and in the following morning, there will have been some secretions, there would have been some feces being passed into those leftover meals. And before you know it, in the morning, they will just come, probably warm the soup or whatever that is left over and resell to people. And before you know it, people will have consumed, things that pests and vectors will have, taken rid of.
Some had started the evacuation process, while those who are adamant or gone on holidays will meet their shanties removed. While the evacuation process was on, a fight ensued between scavengers and the shanty owners. Unfortunately, the reporter was made to understand these places have been paid for, to who remains a question begging for an answer. This exercise will be carried out across the state. According to the state government, there will be no more room for display of goods and services on walkways, drainages, reserved places, as necessary setbacks must be adhered to at all points where government have placed them. Bumi Adigun, Ogtv News.
We have joining us the special advisor to the Ogun State Governor on Environment. He is also the Chief Executive Officer, Ogun State Waste Management Authority, Ogwama, Mr. Ola Oresoya. Mr. Ola Oresoya, you are most welcome to the news.
Thank you very much.
From the report that was earlier showed, we know that illegal shanties have existed in the past years on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Why is government considering the demolition of these shanties now?
Well, you said it clearly, shanties. I don't think any responsible government will want its prime locations, for that matter, to be occupied by shanties. And I think we have to live up to our responsibility by protecting the environment, and especially ensuring that the taxpayers, they have a decent area to live in. We have decent estates around the state, especially around that the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road that you just shown, and that you have a lot of development going on there. So you don't want to bring developers into your state, and the first thing they start seeing is that this is a state of shanties. No. You can see what we've been doing right now at the interchange, at the city gates, and the beautification that is ongoing there, and that is setting the tune for the kind of standard that the state is setting for its people. We want people to see us as a green city, as a green state. We love our environment, and especially on that axis, we have to create a green environment. So we're not going to leave that area and allow people to degrade our environment, no.
So what are the environmental and health implications of the existence and removal of these shanties?
Well, the environmental implication for removal, yes, that means we'll be able to preserve and conserve the environment, which is our prime function at the Ministry of the Environment. I mean, ours is to conserve our resources, our natural resources, and to protect even the environment and improve on the livability of the environment. And one of is to make sure that we occupy those areas and make it green, make it beautiful, have a better air, have a better ambient, welcoming you into a city, and you'll be able to see our seriousness as a people entering the states from those axes. And it's not just that axis, it's going to be all over the entire state. We have Ota, E4, and several areas. Abeokuta is ongoing also, where you have most of our area. We're not going to allow people to start trading on the road or by the verges. You have to leave the verges or create a space so that people want to ride bicycle, people want to walk. We can improve on pedestrian activities and not allow traders to just occupy everywhere.
So do you think government is up to the task to enforce and sustain this action? Because you know people, they are lawless. So once these shanties are removed, they may go back again to erect other structures. So how does government intend to do this?
Well, let me soon start by saying I don't want to agree that our people are lawless. No, our people are not lawless. It is for the lack of telling them what to do and for compelling them, okay, to do it, and for showing the visible reprimand for defaulters. I get it. So the structure you put in place will determine how the people function. So we need to put a structure that will guide our people. They are waiting for us to put that structure in place. And we have started. So our people are not lawless. So if you are recalcitrant people, yes, we'll be able to pick them out, and the appropriate reprimand will go for those who are recalcitrants. But the generality of the people in Ogun State, we are not lawless people. We are law-abiding people. And the government needs to set the tune, and people will follow. That's exactly what we're doing.
So the spaces reclaimed by government, what are they going to use them for?
We're going to use them mainly now for green. We're going to complement what the federal government is doing actually on the major highway there. You can see the federal government is investing heavily on that road. The least we can do is to occupy our own right of way, which is about 25 meters from the verge of the road, from the right of way of the federal government. That 25 meters from the express road, from that verge, belongs to the state government, and we are going to green that area and make it pedestrian friendly. It's going to be green all the way along those verges there, so that when naturally people will not come and encroach on the place. Naturally the place will appear clean. We are clean people. We need to make sure that place is clean. And we already have a plan, we have the program, we have a design concept, we just need to move on. And that we have started right now. We are not stopping, we are going to move.
So can you also update us on the introduction and management of the private sector participation in waste collection in the state?
Well, that's a sector that is growing, is work in progress, and is growing very well, and I'm very happy. This is close to about 48 months now that we've started, and yes, we make appreciable progress. Right now we have close to about 180 private operators in that sector right now who have invested a lot of money in that sector. An average investor will have invested nothing less than about 10 million naira in that business, and it's growing. Just the last few days, we published names of the PSPs in all the local government areas of the states. We've covered everywhere. We published the names in the newspapers, and the numbers of our people, the numbers of the PSP that our people can call. So it tells you that we've gone around everywhere. Effectiveness is work in progress. We will not be effective everywhere, but definitely we already have a structure. We'll improve our structure until our our good become better and our better become best. So it's work in progress, but we have a structure on ground, and the PSP are there to pick waste from people's doorstep. It's from your doorstep, not on the road.
Well, sir, we also understand that Ogwama has started night waste collection operations in Abeokuta and then in Songwater. What effect has this made? You know, because we still notice some major streets in Abeokuta.
Well, we have to improve on our night operation in most of our big cities, especially Ota. When you look at Ota, you can see that we have a lot of traffic during the day, so you don't really have effective service delivery by waste collectors during the day in Songwater in particular, and then some areas in Abeokuta. Now, what happens is that when you collect waste during the day in Abeokuta, by the time you are going back in the evening, the waste will have resurfaced again on the road. For those who are dumping refuse on the road, it will have resurfaced again. So what we're doing is to make sure that we have a night crew that will collect the waste overnight and make sure that what you see in the morning will be less, will be reduced, and when our people are going to their offices, they will see less of refuse on the road. Because most times, when you leave your house 6 a.m., you are going to office, the waste will have been there, waiting for the waste collectors to get there around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. By the time the waste collector get there 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you are already in your office. What you saw was waste going to your work. And by the time you are going back in the evening, it's so dark that you may not even notice that the job has been done. So you are coming back the following morning, that's exactly what you see. It looks like they're not doing anything. So this time around, if you work overnight, when you for the early birds, when you are going to work in the morning, you will not see waste on the road. All right, so we have to work double. That means it's a double expense for us, but yes, our people deserve the best, and we are going to give the best.
And will this operation be replicated in other parts of the state?
Well, it is not apple for apple. It's there's some areas that don't have that same condition. Areas like Shagamu and some areas and Ilaro, some part of Ijebu, even some part of Abeokuta don't have that kind of challenge. All right, so it is areas where we have a lot of high urbanization. All right, and that's why we have such problems. And we are focused on such areas right now. And if need be, fine, why not? If not, so that we scale up and we do more in the night. You are more effective when you work overnight than when you work during the day. During the day, you are distracted. All right, and the waste packer wants to go to the bank. He wants to go and buy food. But when you start work 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you devote more of your time to do the work. So you are more focused in the night, and we get more value for money from our work in the day. So we're going to intensify more on that. But in areas that they don't require that.
So this festive period, what do you want to tell members of the public?
Well, for this season, yes, this season in itself brought its own challenge to us anyway, because usually we have this saying in our own business that people's pleasure is our pressure. When people have festive period like this, that's where you generate more volume of high volume of waste. You know, so for this period, we deploy more activity, more of our vehicles, more of our people are working around the clock, and I really want to appreciate our people for the cooperation they've given us so far. I want to appreciate all our people in Ogun State for this support. It's been tremendous, and I want to plead with us that let's do it again next year. The good thing we've done this year, let's make it better next year by the grace of God. Support us. Put your waste at your doorstep. Please don't bring your refuse to the road. We have established the network. We have established the confidence in people that we will always be at your doorstep. Your waste must not be on the road. Your waste must not be on the road. It must be at your doorstep, and we will pick it there. We've shown it, we've demonstrated it, and we're banking on it, and I'm telling you, with all sincerity, our integrity is on the line. We will pick your waste at your doorstep. We're there.
Well, Mr. Ola Oresoya, I want to thank you most sincerely for coming tonight. It's been a pleasure and a worthwhile journey. We wish you the very best in the years to come. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
And the news is still continuing.
The human brain is one of the largest and most complex organs of the human body. It is made up of more than 100 billion nerves. The brain is responsible for controlling our thoughts, memories, emotions, touch, and motor skills. However, some of our actions may cause the brain not to function properly. These actions are missing breakfast, sleeping late, high sugar consumption, wearing cap, scarf, or socks while sleeping, the habit of blocking urine. To have a sound mind, we have to keep the brain healthy.
Welcome back. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has clarified that all candidates, clients, and other members of the public below the age of 18 years are not required to produce any vaccination card before being allowed access to its facilities. Spokesperson of JAMB, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, who gave the clarification on Tuesday, said this became expedient in view of the misinterpretation of the board's policy of no vaccination card, no entry into any of its facilities nationwide earlier announced. Dr. Benjamin, in the statement, however, said the board discovered that many underage candidates were making frantic efforts to get vaccinated, with some even falsifying their age to be vaccinated just to access services at the board's facilities. The Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has called for the review of the Fire Service Act of 1963 in order to empower the agency to meet up with contemporary realities. The Director General of FEMA, Alhaji Abbas Idris, made the call in a statement issued on Tuesday in Abuja. Idris said that the act had become obsolete, thus limiting the powers of emergency agencies in the discharge of their duties. While stating that the law must be reviewed in the interest of public safety, Idris noted that most of the fire incidents were avoidable but could be traced to carelessness or willful acts. The federal government is set for the deployment of 12 Super Tucano jets against bandits as part of concerted efforts by President Muhammadu Buhari before 2023. As a prelude to the deployment, government has also started perfecting the conditions for the release of a gazette which will legally classify bandits as terrorists. Already has secured a court order declaring bandits as terrorists. But the United States has not given a blank check to Nigeria on the use of the fighter jets. The U.S. has floated a monthly schedule to monitor the deployment of the jets, the battlegrounds, and the purpose of the deployment. According to reports, the Super Tucano jets will be deployed as soon as the gazette against bandits is out. Meanwhile, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, has urged troops of Operation Gamma Aiki and personnel of 013 Quick Response Force MENA to sustain the tempo of operations against criminals. He also urged Air Force men to sustain assaults on criminals. Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force Headquarters, Air Commodore Edward Gagoet, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday in Abuja. According to the Director of Operations Headquarters, NAF, Air Commodore Sunday Aneke, delivered the charge when he at the Christmas celebration of the air component of OPGA in Mina. Amao noted that the celebration provided an opportunity for the service the sacrifices of who paid the supreme price in the service to the country. He also appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for his continued support to the armed forces of Nigeria, especially the Nigerian Air Force. The police in Jigawa have arrested 7 suspects during raids on black spots and hideouts for criminals in Brinkudi and Gwaram local government areas of the state. The police public relations officer in the state ASP Lawan Shizu confirmed the arrest to newsmen. Shizu said 3 of the suspects aged between 20 and 28 were arrested in Babaldu village when a police patrol team raided black spots and hideouts for criminals in the area. He explained that 85 wraps of dried leaves suspected to be Indian hemp, 136 assorted tablets of illicit drugs, 24 pieces of rubber solution, and 1 knife were recovered during the raids. The PPRO added that one of the suspects was found to be connected with a case of culpable homicide that occurred in August 2021. Up next is business news. Stay with us.
You're welcome to the business news. Investment in free universal childcare could million jobs in Nigeria, especially reducing the gender gap in the employment by up to 7 percentage points. This was disclosed in a report titled Green Jobs for Women in Africa, which was based on a study by the African Natural Resources Center of the African Development Bank and the United Nations Women Regional Office for West and Central Africa. The report emphasized the need to invest in universal childcare in Africa, significantly benefit the continent. The currency in circulation rose from 2.97 trillion naira at the end of October to 3.15 trillion naira in November, according to figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria. The CBN data showed that the currency circulation increased to 2.84 trillion naira in September from 2.78 trillion naira in August. It stood at 2.81 trillion naira in July, 2.74 trillion naira in June, 2.79 trillion naira in May, 2.7 April, 2.8 trillion naira in March, 2.78 trillion naira in February, and 2.83 trillion naira in January. The Currency Operations Department, the CBN, said in its 2020 annual report that it sustained banknote disposal operations in 2020 to ensure the circulation of clean banknotes. The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria has said that the government should not overlook the impact new taxes would have on businesses in its quest to increase revenues. The 15th president of the CITN, Mr. Adeshino Adebayo, said this during the 45th induction ceremony of the institute in Lagos recently. He said that at the level of government, it is important that initiatives and tax law reviews are well thought out and followed through. A total of 350 pipeline points were vandalized from January to July this year. The latest data obtained from the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited have shown the number of vandalized pipeline points rose from 27 in January to 54 in February, according to the NNPC data. In March, 70 pipeline points were vandalized, representing a 29.63% increase when compared to February. The company said Port Harcourt area accounted for 65% and Mosami area accounted for 21% of the vandalized points in March, while for the remaining 16%. And finally, the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributions on Monday, electricity distribution companies always assumed ownership of equipment voluntarily made available by consumers, of course customers, for use by Disco's networks. And its executive director for research and advocacy said in a statement issued in Abuja that a move by Discos had to do with indemnity and public safety. Odunton said Discos needed to protect the equipment and ensure that access was only granted to qualified personnel, as some people had lost their lives because they were trying to maintain their transformers without being certified to do so. And that's the end of business news. Many thanks for watching. Back to Yabo for other segment of the news.
Thank you, Simiat. And now to foreign news. Russia's Supreme Court has ordered the closure of International Memorial, Russia's oldest human rights group, as there were shouts of shame from those in court as the decision was read out. And on the continent of Africa, a South African court has halted oil giant Shell's Siamese testing for oil and gas along the eastern coastline, pending a final ruling. Local communities who were also represented in the case said that their customary rights to the law, to the land and fishing had not been respected. Details in this package.
Russia's Supreme Court has ordered the closure of International Memorial, Russia's oldest human rights group. Memorial worked to recover the memory of the millions of innocent people executed, imprisoned, or persecuted in the Soviet Union. Normally, it has been liquidated for failing to mark a number of social media posts with its official status. That designation was given in 2016 for receiving funding from abroad. But in court, the prosecutor labeled Memorial a public threat, accusing the group of being in the pay of the West to focus attention on Soviet crimes instead of highlighting a glorious past. A South African court has halted oil giant Shell's seismic testing for oil and gas along the country's eastern coastline, pending a final ruling. The decision has been hailed by environmentalists who fear that the sound blasting will harm marine life. Shell said it had paused operations while it reviewed the judgment. South Africa's Energy Minister, Gwede Mantashe, had condemned the project critics, saying they wanted to deprive Africa of energy resources. In his ruling, High Court Judge Gerard Bloom said that Shell's right to explore the waters near the Wild Coast was awarded on the basis of a substantially flawed consultation process. And finally, on the Word today, more and more children are having to work to help support their families amidst an economic collapse in Afghanistan. Even before the Taliban takeover, hundreds of thousands of Afghan children were forced to earn a living because of widespread poverty. However, since the group came to power, international funding has been largely cut off, sanctions have also been imposed, and as a result, unemployment is rising. That's it on the Word today.
Sports news is next with Emmanuel Dasaulo.
Welcome to the sports segment of the news. For the second year in a row, Egypt's Al Ahly Pitso Mosimane faced its old South African club Mamelodi Sundowns in the African Champions League. Earlier this year, Mosimane led Al Ahly to a 3-1 aggregate win over its former charges in the quarterfinals as the Egyptians retained their title and extended their record to 10 wins overall. The other two sides in Group A are the Sudanese rivals Al Hilal and Al Merrikh, one of three derby clashes from Tuesday's Champions League draw. African Confederation Cup holders Raja Casablanca head Group B and take on Horoya of Guinea, ES Satif from Algeria, and South African debutant Amazulu. There will be a Tunisian derby in Group C where Esperance and Etoile du Sahel clash with Algerian side CR Belouizdad and first-time participant Joanne Galaxy of Botswana. There is another heavyweight tussle in Group D as Moroccan club Wydad Casablanca, who lifted the continental title in 2017, meet Zamalek, as well as Angola's Petro Atletico and Sagrada Esperanza. Spain forward Ferran Torres has joined Barcelona from Manchester City, signing a contract until June 2027 and a €1 billion buyout clause. The 21-year-old forward returns to Spain on a £46.3 million deal just 18 months after leaving Valencia to join City. Barcelona will pay £8.4 million in add-ons and must sell some players to comply with La Liga financial regulations. The club is able to fund the deal despite its current financial. Recent bank loan. Spain international Torres has made 43 appearances and scored 16 goals for City since joining from Valencia in August 2020. Chelsea defender Ben Chilwell could miss the rest of the season as he is likely to need. The England left-back 25 suffered anterior cruciate ligament damage during Chelsea's 4-0 Champions League win against Juventus on 23rd of November. Chelsea initially decided to let the defender begin rehabilitation work in the hope he could return without surgery. An initial scan revealed Chilwell had sustained a partial ACL tear, and Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel said at the time that the next 6 weeks will tell the story on whether it would require surgery. Austrian world number 15 Dominic Thiem has pulled out of the January's Australian Open with a long-standing wrist injury. The 28-year-old former world number 3 has not played since he sustained the injury at June's Mallorca Open. The Melbourne Park tournament begins on 17th of January and will feature Britain's Andy Murray, who was given a wild card. Tournament organizers are still unsure if defending men's champion Novak Djokovic will play, while women's 2021 runner-up Jennifer Brady has also withdrawn because of a foot injury. Now to basketball, where the NBA has reduced quarantine time from 10 days to 6 for vaccinated players and into contact with COVID-19 or contract the disease but are asymptomatic, according to reports. Teams were informed in a league memo obtained by journalists about the move, which came the same day for the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reduced isolation time for those with asymptomatic COVID-19 from 10 days to 5. The quicker return for players to active status was agreed to by the league and the players' union. It comes after the NBA postponed 9 games because at least one team could not field players due to COVID-19 absences. Tyson Fury has received a huge blow in his quest to become the first undisputed heavyweight champion of the WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO era, as Anthony Joshua's rematch fight against Alexander Usyk is set to take place next spring. Joshua suffered the second defeat of his 8-year career back in September as Usyk outboxed the Brit to claim a famous victory via unanimous decision. Prior to the contest, it had been hoped Joshua would battle Fury for the undisputed crown of heavyweight champion, but the Gypsy King was ordered by an arbitration judge to complete his trilogy fight with Deontay Wilder. Edge's boxing promoter Eddie Hearn has suggested a rematch fight with Usyk is close to being agreed. And our sport update, it's back to Yabo.
Thank you, Emmanuel. We shall now serve you weather forecast.